Let's get to Chris Saxman on the line. Chris Saxman, former House of Delegates member, Virginia Republican, former chairman, John McCain for president in Virginia. Worst campaign ever. No, Romney's was worse. Nah, McCain's was worse. No, Romney's was worse. No, they both sucked. Let's see. He's also now the president of Virginia Free. Boy, that McCain campaign was really, really, really bad. Chris Saxman, welcome.
We got the silver, John. Thank you. You did just as well in Virginia. I think we both finished 5 points apart from the winner.
I know. We both lost. Like misery loves. It's just like the pit of misery.
Yours was just as bad as mine. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're in the pit of misery. Losers.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly. One and for all. John Fredericks in this corner lost the presidential election in Virginia by 5 points. Chris Saxman in that corner lost the presidential election in Virginia by 5 points. Losers all. Dilly dilly. Chris, hey, what do you think about this Dominion deal?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a quote unquote Dominion deal. I mean, let's just back it up a bit. This was legislation that was in 2015 that's being amended because the Clean Power Plan is now gone. Last year they couldn't do it because it wasn't officially gone. Now it's officially gone, and now the legislature and the governor have stepped in to get a deal done, a compromise moving in the right direction that, I don't think anyone's really happy with, but people are more happy than they otherwise would have been, and I think we're pretty close to seeing a final product. That said, there's a lot of good things in this legislation, and I think consumers at the end of the day will be happy, as most of their representatives at the committee hearing stated yesterday. They think it's a pretty good deal.
So those that are really, really opposed to this whole rate compromise, like led by the Chap Peterson group and many of the new Democrats who came in November, signed the pledge, we're not taking money from Dominion, blah, blah, blah. What was their reaction?
Well, we haven't seen too much of their reaction because they're in the House, and that bill is going to be heard on Thursday afternoon. Yesterday, however, a really stunning development occurred, and not necessarily not only in this bill, but also within people in the Democratic Party, because the governor helped orchestrate this compromise bill that was presented by Democrat State Senator Dick Saslow and Republican State Senator Frank Wagner. A lot of supporters for the bill that came out were, obviously the governor's office, and then the Natural Resources Defense Council and the League of Conservation Voters. So you saw this continuation of environmental groups supporting the bill. And then the business community came out, manufacturers, chambers of commerce, Northern Virginia Tech Council, Washington Gas, other business groups came out. And then the Attorney General came out against the bill, along with what I would call environmental groups further to the left than NRDC and League of Conservation Voters. So you have this split forming. It's a really interesting political dynamic that's occurring in the legislature right now in real time. And your listeners really ought to pay attention to this one because it's going to portend to a lot of other legislative and political divisions going down the road in both parties. So it's a really exciting time politically to watch it. But the benefits of the bill, I think, will become more known in the next couple of days. And as you were stating earlier, the significant rebates back to the consumers straight away. You have a tremendous amount of solar going to be included in this 5,000 megawatts, which is 1.25 million homes could be powered under solar. And some other grid security issues and efficiency measures in the bill as well. So it's a lot of good things in the bill. And the governor, Speaker Cox, and a lot of folks are supporting it early on.
So when you're talking about solar, how does the Dominion rebate, just explain to our listeners, how does the Dominion rebate that consumers are going to get tie into solar energy?
Well, the rebate is separate and a part of the solar. The solar is part of the bill. The rebate comes from what the SEC was estimating that should have gone back in over earnings back to ratepayers for the last, 2015 and 2016. And that's $133 million. They added in another $67 million. And as Senator Saslow was pointing out, that does not include the federal tax reform pass-through, essentially, that the consumer, the ratepayer, will get from their tax benefit. That'll go right through. I think it's $125 million per year. So the ratepayer is going to see some benefits immediately. The solar end is part of the investment that Dominion is going to be making. There was some contention on the issue about too much solar, and some of the Republican senators thought it was more of a social judgment than an economic judgment. That was Senator Obenshain in his conversation about it, but he ended up voting for the bill. I think some of the objections that were raised by senators will be overcome in the next couple of days or explained, and you might see a more favorable vote on the Senate floor. However, on the House side, which you alluded to earlier, was the people who came out so strongly against Dominion in the political season might be boxed in from voting against a very good compromise bill supported by the governor of their party.
Yeah, they might be boxed in, right, because of the promises they made in the campaign trail. But look, I mean, I think this is a bipartisan effort, right? And you know what was interesting? Explain this one. They only got 4 negative votes coming out, and those are all Republicans. Why?
Well, some of them raised concerns. It was Stanley, Newman, Stewart, and Dick Black. And they had concerns about the double dipping on the over earnings and charging to the ratepayers some of the investments. I think that was explained well by Jack Rust and Bill Murray, who are lobbyists for Dominion, and two of the smartest and most honorable people you can ever find down here. I'll say that straight away. People say Jack Rust is the smartest Virginian since Thomas Jefferson. I mean, he's just that smart. And Dick Saslaw, and Jack was a Republican delegate, Dick Saslaw, a Democrat, said, when Jack Rust tells you something, take it to the bank. Mm-hmm. That man has never steered me wrong. That was in committee. You've got this dynamic going on the bill, and that boxing in is going to affect those, not necessarily Republicans. I think they raised objections, and I think they might come around, just my hunch, on some of those concerns that they raised. So it's always good to put up a no vote to make sure that they are addressed before you go to the floor. On the House side, however, they've got more of a political dynamic problem because you have their party being represented on both sides, for and against. The governor for, the attorney general against. The governor's not running again. The attorney general might run for governor. And you got 2 environmental groups on either side, the League of Conservation Voters for, Sierra Club, and the other further to the left environmental groups. So who do they side with in this debate? Right. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning what's going on.
And what is amazing, too, is all the Democrats voted in favor of this. You would think that's a couple of them would have voted no because of all the...
There's a reason why.
Why?
The people who, and Senator Spruill and Senator Dance raised concerns about who's benefiting, the consumer or the stockholder of the Dominion. And the Virginia Poverty Law Center, which has gone way out of their way to denounce Dominion over the last several months. I mean, it's been really somewhat personal that they've been hitting Dominion. A lot of op-eds and papers and that kind of stuff, and raising a ruckus. And they came out neutral on the bill. They were looking out for the poor, and they said, we neither support nor oppose the bill. We have some concerns, and I think they're going to put an amendment in that might address those concerns. But they came out in the end being neutral. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what's got Spruill and Dance, Democrats from African-American districts, to support the legislation and move it forward. It's stunning what's going on.
Stunning, absolutely stunning, and great leadership by, the governor. Got to call him out where it's due. Great leadership by the governor in saying, look, let's go to mediation. Let's get everybody in a room. And great leadership from Speaker of the House, Kirk Cox, and Senate Minority Leader Dick Saslaw on this. This is what happens.
And Frank Wagner. I mean, I think this is the Virginia way. I mean, this is quintessential Virginia way of politics, and hopefully it's, as Governor Northam said in his inaugural address, a way to help lead the nation. And we can only hope that.
Well, so far you guys are off to a very good start. Out of time, Chris Saxman, President, Virginia Free, former House of Delegates member in Virginia. Thank you, Chris, for being with us. Everybody's going to be getting a rebate on their Dominion energy bills coming soon, just in time with the tax cut. We're going to be saving a lot of money. Chris Saxman, got to go. John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth.